Hello students, so today's lecture will be on earthquake loading, wherein you will be seeing here what is earthquake, then you will be seeing the dynamic effects, that is the dynamic difference between the wind loading and the earthquake loading. Also you will see the analysis part, that is which are the different analysis you can use to find out the earthquake loading or the effects of the earthquake on the tall structures. So first we shall start with what is earthquake. So earthquake, we also say it as a quake or tremor. It is nothing but the sudden release of the extreme energy from the earth's crust, and due to which there will be the shaking and the displacement of the ground, along which the seismic waves are created. So this earthquake, that is, as we say, it is the sudden release of energy. That energy which is released, it will be radiating in all directions. So now, due to this energy that is released, the shaking of the ground takes place. So that energy what is released, we call it as or it is in the form of the waves. That is, we say it as the seismic waves. Now the two important points to know in the earthquake is the focus and the epicenter. So what is focus? It is nothing but the place within the earth where the earthquake waves start or they originate. So focus is the place within earth where the earthquake waves originate. Next is epicenter. Now epicenter is the location on the surface which is directly above the focus. So now these two definitions, you can see it in this figure. So now this is the cut section shown. Here is the focus. So we know that focus is the point within the earth where the waves originate. So here you can see the energy is released. So the energy released is in the form of the waves. So these are the waves produced. You can see wave fronts is mentioned here. The focus is the point within the earth wherein the waves or the energy is released, right? Now epicenter. Epicenter is the point which is exactly above the focus, but it is on the surface. So here we have defined that epicenter is a location on the surface which is directly above the focus. So it is directly above the focus, but it is present on the surface. So that is the definition of focus and the epicenter. Now next we shall see is dynamic actions on buildings, that is the wind and the earthquake. That is the difference between this wind loading and the earthquake loading. So now we say that these are nothing but the lateral forces. As we say, these are the horizontal direction forces. So wind and the earthquake are the lateral forces. Now here the dynamic actions that are caused in the building due to this wind and the earthquake. Here we can see dynamic actions are caused due to this wind and the earthquake, and they act differently or the effects are different. That is, the wind forces, they develop a different effect, and the earthquake forces, they create a different effect on the buildings or the structures. So here you can see there is a tall structure here mentioned, and here one more tall structure is there. But here in this B figure where you can see here is there will be wind loading acting, whereas in the A figure you will be seeing the earthquake forces are acting. So what is the difference here? The philosophy of structural design uses force as the base. So now here in the wind loading you can see these are the wind loads which are acting on the surface or the exposed surface area of the building, and the force which is used is the base which is consistent in the wind design. So we consider this as the force type of loading. The wind loading is considered as the force type of loading. Now here in the next one you can see here where the earthquake forces are acting. This building will be subjected to random motion of the ground. So there is energy is released and there is the shaking of the ground taking place. That is, we say random motion of the ground at the base, and which induces the inertia forces in the building, and due to which there will be the stresses developed inside, and there will be a displacement type of loading, or we say that this is called as a displacement type of loading, because the random motion at the base creates the inertia forces due to which there is stresses and there is a displacement here. So this is called as a displacement type of loading. This is called as a force type of loading. Now here in this one more figure you can see the nature of temporal variations of design actions. This is for the earthquake loading. This is for the wind pressure or the wind loading. So here in the earthquake loading you can see there is a zero parameter, then it goes on increasing, reaches a mean value of maximum, and then it goes on in a cyclic pattern. Whereas in the wind pressure you can see there is no zero. There is no zero. There will be a non-zero quantity present and then it reaches a mean value and goes on oscillating. This is with respect to time shown here. Next we shall see is in designing the buildings to behave elastically during earthquake. That is, if you want a building to be earthquake resistant or it should be elastical, that is, it should return to its original shape and size, that is elastic, without damaging the property or the building, the project will require more amount of, that is, it will cost more amount. So we say that is economically unviable. So as a consequence, we need that the structure should undergo certain amount of damage and thereby dissipate the energy during this earthquake. So for this, there are 3 points you can see here. The traditional earthquake resistant design philosophy that requires a normal building to be able to resist. Now when you consider a normal building and you want it to design for earthquake resistant, you can consider these 3 points, that is, it should be able to resist these 3 say. So first one here you can see in the first figure a building is shown here and the earthquake is occurring. So the minor and the frequent it is mentioned. So there will be minor earthquake, you can say, that is minor shaking will take place with no damage to the structural and the non-structural elements, that is the beams, columns as well as non-structural, that is the walls. So these are not affected, that is no damage is caused here in the first one, that is the minor shaking takes place. In the second one you can see there is a moderate shaking taking place with minor damage to the structural elements. Here structural elements there is a minor damage and some amount of damage to the non-structural elements. So this is the moderate shaking place. Whereas the severe shaking will be taking place wherein there is a damage to the structural elements. You can see here the structural elements are damaged but with no collapse. With no collapse, that is the property is not falling, that is to save life and the property inside and adjoining the building. So there is no collapse here. So there is minor shaking, moderate shaking and the severe shaking here. So we have to consider these points. So if you want for the earthquake design, this is the philosophy that is considered. Now we shall see the analysis part. So analysis of the earthquake loading. So the magnitude of the earthquake loading as a result of the dynamic response of the building is due to the shaking of the ground. So as the ground shakes, there will be dynamic response in the building and that magnitude we find out what is the amount of magnitude of the earthquake loading. It will be due to the dynamic response. So here the different analysis procedure we follow is, first one we have is, or you can divide it broadly into static analysis and the dynamic analysis. So in static you will be having the linear static analysis, non-linear static analysis. In dynamic you will have the linear dynamic analysis and the non-linear dynamic analysis. So in this you will be studying is the linear static analysis and the linear dynamic analysis. So here I have mentioned here in the linear static analysis, the procedure we used is the equivalent static method. Then next for the non-linear we use is the pushover analysis. For the linear dynamic we use the response spectrum method, also known as the modal analysis, and for the non-linear dynamic analysis we use the time history analysis. So two approaches are used for estimating the seismic loading, which accounts for the structural properties and the past record of the earthquake. That is, as I said, we will be studying here is equivalent lateral force method, also known as the equivalent static method, and the modal analysis, also known as the response spectrum method. So to find out or to estimate the seismic loading by using these two procedures, we should know what is the structural properties of the structure as well as the past record of the earthquakes which are occurring in that region. So first to start, just a brief introduction about this. That is, first one we have is equivalent lateral force method. Now, to find out or to estimate the seismic loading using this method, we need is the fundamental period, the maximum ground acceleration or the velocity, and the other factors which are used to find out the maximum base shear. So here in this case, you'll be finding the maximum base shear of the building using the fundamental period, ground acceleration, and the other factors. That is the medium soil. You'll be seeing the different factors which are considered. Next, for horizontal loading, that is the loading which is acting, the shear is distributed throughout the height of the building. So whatever height of the building is at, throughout the height of the building, the equivalent, that is the horizontal loading equivalent to shear is distributed. Next, the design forces that are obtained from this equilateral, that is equivalent lateral force procedure, they are actually less than the actual forces which are acting on the building. The lower design forces, they have the potential for the higher strength by the working stress level, the damping provided, and the reduction in the forces due to the effective ductility of structures. The members, they yield beyond the elastic limit. So always the design forces are less than the actual forces when we use this method. Then it is simple, rapid, and recommended for the unexceptionally high buildings. So it is very simple procedure used and it gives the results very quickly, and it is recommended for the unexceptional high buildings, and it is used for the preliminary design of the higher buildings and the unusual arrangement of the structure. Then in modal analysis, here we find out the modal frequencies. That is, since the oscillation takes place, we find out what is the modal frequency of the structure. They are analyzed and they are used to find the design spectra, and also we find further is the maximum modal response. So using this frequency, we find out the modal responses. Then we combine all these modal responses and then find the maximum value of response. Further, the difference here is, since the equilateral force method, it is very quick and it is simple, this modal analysis is complex and takes a longer time when compared to this equilateral, but but this modal analysis, it is accurate and it gives the non-linear behavior of the structure. Further, the lateral load resisting elements or the vertical distribution of the masses are irregular over the height of the building. That is, if the irregularity occurs in the building, that is due to the mass or due to the floor to floor, or there is setbacks, then this dynamic or the dynamic characteristics, then this modal analysis procedure is used. So now these two procedures we shall see in detail, and further we shall solve the problems. We shall see this in the next video lecture. Thank you.